Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much, Deepak. Thank you so much. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear audience, our students and faculties from various education institutions from across the nation. Myself, Neeraj Arora. I am Senior Director at ASSOCHAM and look after the education vertical at ASSOCHAM. So, a very, very warm good morning to all of you. We can say warm because now winter has, touched our country, our nation. So, very warm good morning to all of you. So, friends, thank you so much, first of all, for joining this on this morning. And so, friends, as you all know that we recently completed our one webinar series on our National Education Policy 2020. So it was a wonderful series, and we got wonderful response from all of you. And with this input, what we have done is we have started again a webinar series of 5 webinars. And this time we have taken some specialized subject like AI transformation. So our broad theme is AI transformation in higher education. And what we have done is we have formatted some 5 webinars around this AI transformation in higher education. So our co-chairman, Mr. Kumar Shekhar Vijendra, will brief you about all these webinars, what we have planned for next couple of months. So thank you so much for joining. And I would like to welcome our eminent speakers for the day, starting with Dr. Priti Chitkara. She is the Manager, Institutional Affairs, Kite Group of Institution. Dr. Priti Chitkara is the moderator for the session for today. So welcome, Dr. Priti. Then we have Mr. Kumar Shekhar Vijendra ji, who is the co-founder and Chancellor, Shobit University. He is the co-chairman, ASSOCHAM National Council on Education. Mr. Kumar Shekhar Vijendra will give the inaugural address and will brief us what is the background of this theme and what we have planned for next couple of months on this subject. Then we have Dr. Madhu Chitkara ji, Pro-Chancellor, Chitkara University, Chandigarh. Welcome, madam. Then we have Dr. S.S. Mantha ji with us. He is the Chancellor, KL University, and former Chairman, AICT. Welcome, Dr. Mantha. We have Dr. Abhay Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Pratap University, Jaipur. Welcome, Dr. Abhay Kumar. Dr. Priti Bajaj, Vice Chancellor, Galgotia University, Greater Noida. Welcome, Dr. Bajaj. We have Dr. Rana Singh with us. He is CEO, III E-Cell, Sanskriti University, Mathura. Welcome, Dr. Rana Singh. We have Mr. Harsha Kanala, Professional Doctorate in Engineering, Netherlands, and co-founder Advisory. Welcome, Dr. Harsha. So these are our eminent speakers for the day. Now I would like to briefly introduce Dr. Priti Chitkara. Please help. Dr. Priti Chitkara has more than 14 years of experience in the field of education. And at Kite Group of Institutions, she looks into the communications, branding, event management, and international relations. Experienced professor with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education industry. She is skilled in teaching English as a foreign language, communication skills, and creative and academic writing. Her research papers and articles have been published in numerous national and international journals, anthologies, magazines, and books. Her blogs are quite popular among the readers. So thank you so much, Dr. Priti, for joining. And now I will give the responsibility to you to moderate the session. Over to you, Dr. Priti Chitkara ji.
Thank you, Neeraj sir. I hope I'm clear and loud.
Perfect.
Yeah. When you find a dream inside your heart, don't ever let it go. Because dreams are the tiny seeds from which beautiful tomorrow grows. This webinar on AI transformation in higher education, significance of personalized learning, being organized by ASSOCHAM National Council on Education, is meant to accomplish the dreams and aspirations of many who wish to contribute to the educational revolution by enhancing the distinct vision of the researchers and educationists with a blend of technological skills. A very glorious morning to one and all. The galaxy of intellectuals, invited guests, teachers, students, and my dear friends. I, Dr. Priti Chitkara, on behalf of ASSOCHAM and KIET Group of Institutions, welcome you and seek your permission to take you through this magnificent journey of knowledge exchange about the AI transformation in higher education to personalized learning. We feel thrilled, happy, and excited when we talk about artificial intelligence, don't we? I mean, when we hear artificial intelligence, we often envisage a suite of robots performing tasks, transferring labor from humans to machines. And what often comes to our mind is the Terminator movies, isn't it? But today, we are far from machines that have the ability to perform the myriad of tasks even babies shift with ease. Broadly, artificial intelligence is the attempt to create machines that can do previously possible only through human cognition. So within higher education, the AI revolution has arrived in a different, inconspicuous form. And let us learn from the esteemed guests and speakers what they have in their bags full of intellectual experience for us. So education is the acquisition of the art of utilization of knowledge in various fields. And we are pleased to share that today we have with us the person who has replicated the above said, the co-chairman, ASSOCHAM, National Council on Education, and co-founder and chancellor, Shobit University, Sri Kumar Shekhar Vijendra Sir. Sir is also the founder, executive trustee of Nice Society Trust, a not-for-profit organization. For the last 28 years, he has been instrumental in the development of a number of educational, social, and health organizations, including 2 universities in the country. Presently, he plans, advises, and initiates development of academic and skill training institutions worldwide, especially in the countries with substantial Indian diaspora. So, you are requested to kindly deliver the inaugural address. So, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody. On behalf of ASSOCHAM National Council on Education, it's a pleasure for me to welcome you all again and to inaugurate a wonderful series of webinars on AI transformation in higher education in alignment with National Education Policy. I take this opportunity to congratulate our team at National Council on Education, Neeraj Arora, Deepak, and all other, those who are putting a lot of efforts and trying to bring a change in ASSOCHAM by coming so close to education for empowering youth through these knowledge webinars. It is commendable. As it has been mentioned by Mr. Neeraj Arora, that ASSOCHAM has started a series of webinars on different relevant topics. When new education policy was declared, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Bhai Modi ji, the very first tweet was that this policy is not only for education, this is a policy for the nation. And this is very important actually. Everybody from all sectors, they have to see and contribute that how education can be empowered. And technology is playing a very important in that. In new normal, we all understood that technology has to be there. It had been there, we were using it as cumin, maybe in the food. Now we have to use it as salt. We have to see that how it has to be used, but it is very important in every food, in every act, whatever we are doing in education, it has to be used. About this particular series, first of all, this AI transformation in higher education in alignment with the National Education Policy, the Council has planned 5 webinars on the same. As today we are having significance of personalized learning in higher education. In December, we will be having one on a scope of AI in teaching and learning methodologies. Then challenges in applying AI technologies and role of institutions, innovate, assimilate, and tracking, innovate assessments and tracking for better outcomes, embracing personality attributes into holistic evolution and its significance. So these are 5 webinars which have been planned, and I am sure that today's webinar will give it a wonderful start with wonderful speakers with us. Dr. Madhu Chitkara, Dr. Mantha, a very senior technocrat, former chairman AICT, a good friend. Dr. Priti Bajaj, Dr. Abhay, Dr. Rana, Dr. Priti Chitkara, and most important, the men who brought all of us together today. Dr. Harsh Kankanala. He is co-founder of Advice, and I am sure that whatever technology he's talking about and he will discuss with us, that will be of some use for all educational institutions. When I look at the significance of personalized learning in higher education, historically, learning was always personalized. Due to demographic pressures, industrial requirements, mass enrollments, it became mechanical. If I look at the new education policy, it speaks a lot about personalized learning. As I used to say, that what we were doing, we were all focusing to create more employees. Now the new education policy is talking about to make better human, Manubhava. And it can happen when very personalized learning happens there. When I look at AI, so it removes traditional limitations and introduces new and exciting possibilities. We understand that today in India, demographically, we are very rich. Our infrastructure needs a lot of improvements, but our aspirations and vision of our Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Education Minister speaks that we have to enroll a lot more people, and we have to see that our youth get empowered and useful for the world. Artificial intelligence has to play a very important role in that. Many times we feel that it is one of the another feature of learning technologies designed to make it easy or cheap. But if we look at it in larger perspective, in today's world, the motivation, the aspiration, the requirements are so different that we cannot serve everybody, we cannot teach everybody, we cannot educate everybody in the same parameter. We have to see and understand their aspirations, their requirements, and artificial intelligence can play an important role in that. It can boost engagement and results because machine learning algorithms, they predict outcomes, allow us to provide specific content based on the learner's past performance and individual goals. So it means like they can have their own speed also. Like it is not necessary when we talk about multi-entry, multi-exit in our national education policy, definitely here AI can play an important role. You come in, you learn what you wanted, whatever your goals were, whatever your performance is there, whatever your speed is there. You learn from that speed. It can allocate resources to tasks of value. Many times what happens? That everything, all resources are available, but they are not adding any value. Or many times we are trying to add values, we do not know how to add value to every individual student. Definitely, implementation of AI is going to help in that. Automate content scheduling and delivery. Yes, it is going to be easy with AI. Many times what happens, we all know. Even these examinations, when these national examination, entrance examinations were happening, I saw a case there. A boy who was preparing from last 2 years for NEET, last moment he got COVID and he was not able to do it. to appear in the examination. And what happened? That he is depressed, he do not know what to do. And if we could apply AI there, the requirement, or we can automate everything, the scheduling, everything, and it can be on demand, things will change. The same thing is in learning, that many times it is, I am comfortable in the evening. So if content delivery and it can be scheduled, it is going to help a lot. And for all of us, those who are sitting here, because we all represent private sector, it is going to boost our ROI, return on investment. Because the huge infrastructures we have, I always say that we use it around 26-27%. Optimum use of our infrastructure is not more than that. Because we have a schedule, and in that schedule only everybody has to come in and everybody has to go out. Having such tools, such technologies, they are going to help us a lot. When we talk about AI again, I think it requires a lot of data to make it effective. It is just like human being. More information, more data you consume, more intelligent you become. How it will help? In national education policy, we are talking about our industrial relations, we are talking about academic industry relation. But here, I believe that if we are going to implement AI, so instead of being dependent only on tech ed companies, ed tech companies, and all those things, academia has to come. We all are doing wonderful job. We all have a lot of information, data, knowledge, creation is happening. So we all have to come together, and if we have to make it possible that artificial intelligence helps us in personalized learning and teaching of in our campuses, we have to work very closely together so that we can fill it, we can provide sufficient information, sufficient data, sufficient things to make it possible. I'm sure that this webinar series will help us to take decisions in this direction, and it will guide more and more people by the elaborate discussions by eminent academicians, those who are sitting here or those who have joined us. And definitely new technologies, whatever are coming in education sector, they will make our new normal a better normal. However, I do not say it new normal. I always say it is a abnormal time we all are in. I think this abnormal or new normal, whatever you call it, it will become a better time, and we will be able to contribute in a better way, and we will be able to empower the youth in a better way as we all desire for what we all started our institutions. Thank you very much, ASSOCHAM. And thank you everybody for joining us. We are looking forward for a wonderful session today. Thank you. Namaste.
Sir, thank you, sir, for your insightful words. I believe your words would certainly add value to the learnings of all, and especially the knowledge about the ASSOCHAM upcoming webinars is going to, help us all. So moving forward, a strong woman is one who feels deeply and cares nicely. Her tears flow just as abundant as her laughter. A strong woman is both soft and powerful. She is both practical and spiritual. A strong woman in her essence is a gift to the world. And today we have a woman with us whose success and achievements are commensurate with her willpower, hard work, grit, resourcefulness, and single-minded approach. Yes, we are talking about the lady who leads the Chitkara University as its pro-chancellor, Dr. Madhu Chitkara. Ma'am is an eminent academician and an innovative entrepreneur. She has articulated and designed the roadmap for the trust and has actively contributed to its tremendous growth and recognition in all these years. With a passion for academics and great business acumen, she has had a diversified career and variegated experience in the field of education spanning almost 4 decades. Her support to several humanitarian causes in association with various NGOs is indeed a tribute to her philanthropic nature, zest for life, and desire to transform others' lives for the better. And now take this opportunity to request ma'am to take the webinar forward and share her views on the topic. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Priti, for such nice words. I'm impressed that what you are talking about me is good or not good, but thank you very much. And thank you, ASSOCHAM, for giving this opportunity to me to talk about a very important topic, which is need of the hour. And I think for years together, we have seen that when you talk about the education as a whole, there is a mixed ability group of students in the class. So there are below average, they are average, they are above average. So it becomes always a challenge for a teacher. So practically to take care of those students in a class of 60 minutes, and when all the students of different ability, so how to take care of them? And I think this is a time when this topic was taken at a very appropriate time, and we are into the COVID-19 time, and everybody is facing those problems, that how to handle the students. So artificial intelligence, which topic you took, that it is a transformation in higher education, and what is the significance of personalized learning? So I think if you say that talking about the education from day one, so it goes without saying that artificial intelligence, if we talk about, is the changing the nature of industry, from transportation to finance. So you name any industry, so it has impacted the industry. So why not the education? So AI has an impact on education also, and it is the personalized learning, and it is becoming a reality now. So I know that as more and more number of students in education is, if you talk about the delivery of the education system and experience through online mode, I think during the COVID-19 and during lockdown, the students have experienced very differently about the online lectures, because all of a sudden, from offline mode to online mode, we shifted, right? So that was is a high time when we move from traditional way of classroom teaching to the virtual learning, and which will lead to more personalized learning. And I think plans while assisting the teacher in identifying the problem areas for students and attending to each and every student individually. So now this is a time where we have to take care of the students, every student individually. Now, it is not practically possible for a teacher to take care of every student in a class individually. So I think if we talk about Chitkara University, so we are working on personalized learning for quite some time. And now we have started exploring the unconventional learning models, embedded and integrated in our teaching learning processes to ensure that individual learning is done. And we are talking to different industry people also. And today in our session, one of our speaker will be talking about this. And we are talking, Shankara, with him about that how to start with AI-equipped systems in our system. So if we talk about artificial intelligence, what is the role of it in the personalized learning? It's very important to understand today's session that how artificial intelligence becomes, or what is the role of it in a personalized learning. So if you see the AI-equipped systems, they gathers data to determine a learner's knowledge of specific skills, then creates a constantly evolving learning pathways for the child to take forward the professional career. Now, AI doesn't just enhance the learning platform, but it makes it responsive to learners' needs by adapting intelligently to their request. So it's very important that whatever is there, and if there is a request from a student or from a learner, then it will help, the artificial intelligence will help to take care of that also. So how we are working? We are working on a system in Chitkara. We are working in a system where we identify these trends in a student's data. Student can be presented material in a more accessible way that won't leave them behind with a one size fits all approach. You can't have a one system for all the students. So you have a different systems for different students. Now here AI comes a great help to the teacher, that how to take care of the learner, and it will create a personalized learning experience that can improve the educational outcomes. Now, if you see the national policy and you talk about the national education policy, which we just now we are going through that, and there everything they are talking about is outcome based. And if we use AI in higher education and its transformation is that, then we can talk about the outcome based learning also. So artificial intelligence and machine learning, they are especially good at identifying the patterns that may be opaque to human eyes. So by looking to a student's educational data, and AI can assist the teacher in identify the ways individual students can comprehend the material. And we have been striving very hard to make this type of system available to all our teachers. So there are some benefits if you talk about that, how artificial intelligence powered personalized learning, which will motivate arts at Chitkara University, and artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithm predicts outcomes, which is very important in nowadays, and allowing a teacher to provide specific content based on a learner's past performance and individual goals. So it will boost our students' engagement and help in improving their results. So there will be a continuous evaluation. It will be a comprehensive continuous evaluation where this AI will help us to see the graphical changes in their achievements, in their outcomes, and from there we can take care, or we can treat like a doctor every student at every particular point of time. So AI-based system that helps tailor-made online training resources in line with the students' personal and professional objectives. So there are the needs, and if you see that we were talking about that there should be remedial classes for the below average group students, but if you talk about above average students, how we have to help them, that what they can do when they are above average. So you have to handhold them also in the research activities or in some higher grade activities, and it will be only possible for a teacher to understand that how it can be done. So if you talk about AI based systems, and you say that a student receive the exact online resources, and the student can require to fill gaps, achieving all the learning goals. So with AI, our learning platform could schedule coursework or deliver resources based on individual learners' assessment results or simulations. So this will create an environment in which it would be possible to automatically predict course marks for each of your learner who enroll in any of our university program, and then readjust whenever the need arises. So I think this will help us meet the very objective of NEP 2020 also. And if you just see in detail the NEP 2020, everywhere they are talking about it. So what is this? Less training time plus great personalized education will be giving us better learning outcomes. So how we are doing it? So if you talk that AI-based machines are dreadful when it comes to tasks requiring emotional intelligence. Instead, the AI is meant to free the educator from the most time-consuming and monotonous tasks, such as grading exams, checking the papers. And this is very critical to ensure that how this requirement will be on a scalable model. So as a growing university, we are a very young university. So as a growing university, we should be devising a framework to make this a scalable requirement. So now, what are the main problems to be faced by us will be a big problem that our students face when they are part of a classroom is that their teachers do not have the time to solve every single doubt asked by their child. So students are often confused about basic concepts and their understanding of complex topics. So how we can do that? So integrating the artificial intelligence and the natural language processing equipped bot, that can help teachers to solve their doubts instantly and around the clock. So today, as per industry standards, over 20% of all doubts are solved by the bot, and most doubts are solved within a minute. So I think AI is guiding the students about their career prospects also. It's not only teaching learning, but when you talk about their career, their future plans, so what they can do, I think AI can help in fixing those targets also. So besides academics, AI can also identify, streamline the students' career choices. AI helps in identifying the student to certain learning gaps. Now, see, if there are learning gaps, and we as a teacher, we know that there are always learning gaps. So if we take the help of AI, it will become a assistance to the teacher. It will not, we can't say that teacher will not be there, only AI can work, but this is, AI will be assisting a teacher to achieve those goals, which is physically not possible for a teacher in a class of 60 students. So if I sum up all the things which I have told, so I think it is a complete alignment with the fact that AI is going to make long strides in the academic world, turning the traditional methods of imparting knowledge into a comprehensive system of learning with the use of simulations, augmented reality tools. And however, I think we are of the view that the roles and competencies of the teachers will have to be redesigned to create a win-win situation for all students, parents, and teachers, all the stakeholders, I can say. So in India too, we have used those online mode of education, and it is widely adopted by the government, by the private organization, by the industry. And we all have seen that during this lockdown, whatever number of webinars we are able to do in physical world, it was not possible for all of us. I can give one example that Kumar Shekhar and we both met, I think, maximum number of times. Then physically it was not possible. So I think we have to change all the policies and invest in AI empowered online education with the goal to expand exclusive and high quality education to the rural areas as well. And it will be only and only possible if we use AI based this thing. And I think Harsha will be the best person to talk about this, reason being that his advisory is working on AI very closely with the educational institutions. He was discussing this with our team also. So thank you very much, ASSOCHAM. Thank you, Kumarji, for giving this opportunity to me as an educator to talk about AI. Thank you very much. Thank you, Priti.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'm sure your words of wisdom will help us all understand that individual attention that we have been talking for long about, like individual attention should be given to the students. I believe that that is possible only through AI, as it can help us tailor the learning of the students in personalized form, and thereby we can meet the objectives of NEP. Rightly mentioned, ma'am. Thank you so much for your address. Thank you.
Thank you.
Education is not the name of a degree or certificate. that can be shown to others as a proof for education. In fact, it is the name of our attitude, action, language, personality, and relation with others in life. So here we have with us a personality who has truly proved his educational capabilities through his actions. The Chancellor, KL University, and former chairman of AICTE, Dr. S.S. Mantha. Sir is an eminent academician and an able administrator. Having joined AICTE in March 2009 as its vice chairman, he has been at the forefront of bringing in some radical changes for transparency and accountability in its administration. On completion of the tenure at AICTE, he worked as a professor of robotics, CAD, CAM, and AI in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at VJTI Mumbai, and superannuated on 31st May 2016. Sir, it's an honor for us to have you with us, and we request you to share your words of wisdom with our audience. Request you to kindly address, sir. Please. So kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, and thank you and good morning to all the panelists. There are a lot of things that have been said about AI and its role in the education space. And we routinely hear that AI is possibly there in every aspect of our life, and all those gadgets that we use has something to do with AI, something that we hear most often. Now, after teaching the subject for more than 25 years, I have certain insight into what AI can do and what it cannot possibly do. There is a misconception that probably everything can be done by AI. At most, it's a tool which has to be used in the context in which we define. The context can be anything. For today, it's education. And therefore, we'll talk a little about the role of AI within education. And in that space, the COVID, like Madhuji said, has disrupted the traditional ways of teaching and has pushed all of us into the domain of online education. We all know that within the online education space, there can be slow learners, there can be fast learners, there can be people, with different interest areas, and how do you reach out to all of them? And therefore, there is a problem area there. And it's also possible that the research shows that the retention time in an asynchronous mode is just about 18 minutes. So if you look at all that, it's quite possible that people possibly because of the pressures, they have logged into their account, their video is probably switched off, their audio is switched off, and even if they're on, they're probably not attentive enough. So there are several areas of concern within the online education, and it's very necessary to see how we could, circumvent all these problems and with the tools that are available. So when you look at traditional teaching models, like Madhuji said, it treats all learners, with the same, as the same. All learners are the same, despite unique needs and strengths of the learners. So that's a traditional teaching method. Probably you will have children who never complete writing assignments. You will have children, who can't possibly read by the time they are into 4th grade, 5th grade. People who are more interested in sports, people who can't possibly multiply, maybe even when they are in the 3rd or 4th standard. Maybe there are students with dyslexia and so on. So there are all kinds of people, but the traditional method tends to look at all of them as same. So there needs to be something done in that space. So we must take classroom learning beyond the one-size-fits-all mentality and probably get into the 21st century. And the NEP certainly talks about a lot of initiatives in that space. Now, we also routinely talk about personalized learning, and we need to really understand what is this personalized learning, what is AI, what are the challenges in the learning space, how does learning get into the machine learning space, and how do they come together, and some of these concepts I'll try and do as fast as I can. Technology gives students opportunities for taking ownership to their learning, and personalized learning must look at the pace of the students. It must be tailored to the preferences of the learner, and it also must be customized to the specific interests of different learners. So that's something that is the core essence of personalized learning. So therefore, adjusting the pace, which means individualized learning, added to adjusting the learning approach, which means there is a differentiated learning, and also leveraging student interests and experiences. These three things put together is personalized learning. Now, how do we do that is a matter of using the technology. Now, there are several essentials that are a part of personalized learning. There is a learning part of requirements, there is a teaching part of requirements, and there are certain infrastructural requirements in order to make personalized learning possible. Now, there are obviously, we need to understand what is this AI in education, and how does it help, and things like that. So on one side, the problem area could be standardized curriculum, which does not cater to individual needs. And the solution AI provides is personalized learning. Now, there is a limited one-to-one tutor kind of thing. So you could have personal virtual tutors to check that. Grading and assessment is time consuming, and AI can access open-ended questions and in real time. Large class sizes can be a problem. Virtual classroom assistants that AI can provide is a solution. Personalized communication is almost impossible due to the scale in a traditional classroom, whereas chatbots can really do that job for you. And selecting the best students from a large cohort is also difficult. And AI actually can do the analysis and cut short the list and get you the students with different interests, varied interests, and so on. Increasing dropout rates also can be controlled through sentiment analysis, which can be done in using AI algorithms. There is also a need to effectively combat plagiarism and ensuring authorship. And natural language processing is something that she spoke about, gives you a lot of opportunities in doing that. So quickly, artificial intelligence is a technique which enables the computers to mimic human behavior. That's AI. When you get into machine learning space, the techniques give computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed to do so. So that's machine learning. And there is also another subset of machine learning, which is called deep learning, that makes computation of multi-layer neural networks feasible. Let's see very briefly. Like if I have the image of a car as an input, I do a feature extraction and then get into a machine learning classification using networks. And then the outcome will be car or not a car. When I talk about deep learning, my feature extraction and classification come together, and now a combined network is formed, and there is a outcome of differentiating whether it's a car or not a car. So obviously AI has got into, concepts. They include machine learning, they include deep learning, image recognition, processing, natural language processing, computer vision, and cognitive computing. These are the main areas of AI. And as we see, AI can be there everywhere, whether it's Netflix or Amazon or whatever you talk about, AI is today there. AI in education is what we are looking at, and it has a capability of bridging these competency gaps and skill gaps. So therefore, learning and machine learning are coming together to make our life a little easier. So there are big business indicators, there are machine learning, there is big data, and that's the monolithic development that we are talking about. When e-learning and AI come together, then we have something to do with education. And AI in education is when these things merge together. Now, there are several challenges. There are IE challenges, industry challenges. There are AI challenges like automating course production parts, meaningful adaptive learning to suit different people. And there are also pedagogy challenges. There are different people learning at different pace, and therefore you need pedagogy to change. And weighing skills and competencies becomes extremely important. Now, the question is, teacher must collaborate with the tools that are available, which are in the computational domain, in order to create a collaborative experience from a student's perspective. Then AI can drive efficiency, personalization, streamline administration, which means that the routine tasks can be taken away from the teacher, providing him more time to interact with the students, and so on. So the machines can struggle with those routine things. Then you have universal access for all students. That's extremely important. Automated administration tools, which I talked about, tutoring and support in the outside of a classroom, the flipped classroom concepts, and so on. So these are some of the things that AI can actually do for you. AI can allow you a level of differentiation that's impossible for teachers who have to manage maybe 60 students, 100 students in each class. So there are different technologies available to do that. We're not getting into those details. Individual learning, individualized learning is something that we have spoken about. Then universal access for all students is something that can be done. They can help, the tools can help make global classrooms available to all, including who speak different languages or who might have visual or hearing impairments, and so on. So then, like I said, the administration can be automated, relieving the teacher from that stress. Tutoring and support outside the classroom is something that's available. And yes, I mean, the AI space can also give you an insight into what are called as digital badges. The issuer determines the criteria for which the earner provides evidence of learning, usually in some rubric that is agreed upon initially. And the learner demonstrates competency to an agreed criteria, and they earn a badge. And those badges are collected, and they become the something like a progress report of a student, which can help in his career progression. When employers often ask the knowledge of diversity, equality, data protection, freedom of information, health, safety, all these things can be actually built into those digital badges, and they increase the opportunities for employability because of targeted competency awards and so on. So these are some of the initial thoughts that I had. But as we go along, we will certainly come back and discuss more on this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's been a privilege to listen to you with your insightful words, and hope all are going to be learning a lot from your words. It's been a privilege, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When I'm wrong, I'm learning. When I'm in between, I'm learning. And when I'm right, I'm learning. Life is a teacher. These teachings come to us through experience. So we are privileged to have with us a highly learned and experienced personality, the Vice Chancellor of Pratap University, Dr. Abhay Kumar. Having acquired his PhD degree from HNB Garhwal University and receiving his MBA degree from the University of Allahabad, Sir has also been elected Social Secretary of the prestigious Dr. Amarnath Jha Hostel, University of Allahabad. Dr. Kumar has organized and chaired several national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, symposiums, and colloquiums. Sir has also been the keynote speaker and chief guest at a number of conferences and seminars, and has been instrumental in organization of various FTPs and MTPs. Dr. Abhay Kumar is a member of numerous bodies related to higher education and is on the Board of Management Advisory Board as well as member BOS and RDC of a good number of institutes and universities. Dr. Abhay Kumar is also on the advisory board of many corporate organizations and NGOs. Sir, I'm sure that we'll have a lot to learn from your experiential journey. Thereby, you're requested to kindly share your experience with us. So, please.
Illustrious distinguished panelists, participants. In fact, I have gone through a learning phase right now after Kumar Shekhar Vijayanji, Dr. Madhu and Dr. Mantha have spoken so exhaustively on a topic on which I now have to speak. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, ASSOCHAM, and of course, Mr. Deepak, Mr. Neeraj, and Mr. Harsh. So I would just like to ponder on some points, like as it has already been said, that the transition to online learning due to COVID-19 has, of course, been tremendous. All the educational institutions, whether higher educational institutions or even schools, have tried to do justice to the aspect, but of course, they have also exposed significant gaps in our education system. Now, while there have been many technological advancements in the past decade, the education industry has sometimes not been able to adapt itself with the changing technological changes and modifications which have taken place. So the institutions now have the opportunity to explore the potential of learning, which has to be supported by AI. Now, in my opinion, there are many social and economic factors that shape learning environments. Even though there are great teachers in some schools, but especially in the rural areas or even some government schools, we may lack basic resources like even textbooks and internet access and affordability. So when these limitations are combined with an imbalanced teacher ratio, small cracks suddenly turn into wide gaps that become harder to close. So the new education policy which has come up has tried to do its bit by forming clusters of schools and harnessing the teachers in various rural areas to come and start teaching in the cluster head. So whatever it is, if we want to create an experience that is equitable and enjoyable for all, we have to eliminate as many obstacles as possible. Now, equipping educators with AI-powered technology can help alleviate some of these challenges. I would not say all, but at least some of these challenges as of now. Now, for example, AI systems that act as personal tutors can help the student-teacher ratio problem to some extent by providing feedback and support, by eliminating the socio-economic discrepancies in institutions, changing the way students perceive themselves, their peers, and their overall learning experience. This is my viewpoint. Now, it will also be important for educators and policymakers to try to explore the intersection of education and artificial intelligence. What is that point at which we have to meet? The application of machines in learning environments is only one of the variables in a multifaceted equation. We have to consider those barriers that prevent an even distribution in technological resources and how to overcome these barriers. We must also ensure that teachers are prepared and empowered to leverage this AI technology, assuming these elements are addressed. The possibilities of AI-powered learning becomes infinite. So traditional learning methods haven't always included the distinct experiences that shape how students learn. I believe that the best learning experience is one that incorporates a variety of teaching methods and encourages individuality of the student. Unfortunately, most teachers have responsibilities outside the classroom and can't always consider each student's style as of now. This is, of course, more prone in private institutions like us. So AI can be used as a tool in areas where teachers are limited. Machine learning applications process information more quickly and, of course, in larger quantities than humans by leveraging algorithms that learn from data. But then we have to be very careful. With humans, I think garbage in, garbage out. So data which has to be brought in and the data which has to come out, that has to be very importantly considered. With the human beings, the factor of bias comes. So how to remove that bias? Algorithms would be able to remove that bias. So therefore, AI becomes a very important tool as of now. Now, when we talk about teachers being bogged down by administrative tasks, for instance, in the universities as of now, limiting the time they get to spend one-to-one with the students, AI can augment these tasks and complete them at a pace much quicker than a teacher could. Now, there's a report by UNESCO, I would cite it. It says that roughly 60,000 schools in China have implemented an essay grading machine that matches human 92% of the time. Now, that is huge. If this success rate can be achieved everywhere, then teachers' responsibilities would begin to shift. Now, up to this point, the teachers spend just as much time outside the classroom as they do in it. For example, the more mundane tasks, for instance, the more mundane ones that are limited from their workloads, the more meaningful time they will get to spend with the students. So allowing the educators or teachers to focus solely on teaching will lead to a richer experience for everyone. That is true, but that is not easy. So when we talk about AI-powered learning analytics, analytics would be essential to teachers as they strive to create a dynamic learning environment. Student data can be used to feed models that spot learning trends. Now, having taught diverse group of students, I have myself noticed that we sometimes have a hard time pinpointing where they struggle. As a teacher, it's very hard to communicate the direction that any student can take to improve their learning unless the problem has been identified. And how to do it? There's only one way. We can use the power of data and analytics to make decisions that benefit students and, of course, can solve some of their problems. Machine learning models can also help us derive solutions to problems at scale and take preventive measures also. Now, I'll give you a small example of personalized learning. Suppose in a classroom, the teachers are bogged down with so much information that the teaching pedagogy becomes teaching at students and not teaching to students. Now, what would that entail in the future? The concerned teachers must somehow try to save the real time in the classroom by providing material to the students over and above the class timings. That means, suppose uploading of a video to a student, the student gets to understand and listen to the video and understand the basics. Then when he or she comes back to the classroom, it becomes a discussion or an exasperation. So it is more of saving a real of the classroom by the teacher. Now, this, of course, is through technology. So AI would also play a very important part in this. Now, of course, as Dr. Mantha has also said, I think learners, when we talk about homeworks, the teacher would be, of course, again be bogged down so many sheets of say about 60 students of a class. What happens is the teacher gets an information while the student is doing, suppose, an online homework. The teacher would be giving an information as to which particular subjects the students are not good at. And of course, like even course hints can be given to the students at that. The teacher would again saving a real time in the classroom by use of such technology. The third aspect, in my opinion, again would be tutoring. Of course, a teacher cannot teach one-to-one student at home. She knows that the students are doing, but how? So software in the form of tutor can help the teacher understand what are the say basic subjects in which the students are failing or the students are having trouble to understand, which are the questions which are not very relevant to the course, what is the student understanding, what is the difference in the student understanding level. All these things can be assessed and understood by technology. AI system with a rich data also provide a more personalized learning. If a history student is struggling with a certain topic, an AI engine can recommend that past history students have benefited from. Now, it may also recommend classes that the past other history students have taken and have liked. Now, this would be allowing the students to exercise more autonomous learning at their own pace and playing an active role in what they learn. Now, therefore, personalized learning becomes a practice in its importance. It is a practice basically in which the student is allowed to fail and maybe fail a good number of times. Therefore, engagement becomes more important, practice becomes more important. Now, institutions these days, even many private universities, for instance, are embracing programs, and many will continue now the campuses reopen. This is going to open the door for a blended learning experience, as we all know, one that takes place both in person and online. Therefore, learning platforms can be accessed that connects to the internet anywhere and at any time, for instance, expanding the number of students who can access the learning tools. Now, UNESCO has again noted that in terms of providing education to the marginalized people and communities, people with disabilities, refugees, those out of schools, and those living in isolated communities with access to appropriate learning opportunities, this is what AI provides. So this becomes very important for the have-nots, for the people who are already marginalized. So we must care for them also. The Honorable Prime Minister has also said a number of times that we have to have inclusive policies, which helps not only the haves but the have-nots as well. New education policy caters to such aspects. Now, when we talk about personalized, for instance, as it has already been said by Dr. Mamta and many other eminent speakers before, that adaptive learning, for instance, is a technology which is used to assign human or digital resources based on the unique needs of the student, the unique needs of the students. The individualized learning part, the pace of learning is adjusted to meet the needs of individual students. Then differentiated learning, the approach to learning is adjusted to meet the needs of individual students. That means the approach, the speed, and the needs. Now, when we talk about students, I think this should also be projected to teachers, facilitators. What is the pace in which they can teach? What are the needs of the teachers? That means what sort of pedagogy has to be used. We have seen that in the past, just when the COVID-19 crisis took place, some of the very senior professors also faced the problem in trying to teach students online, because the material which they had with them was good enough for face-to-face teaching in the classroom. But uploading an online material sometimes becomes very different from how you teach in the class. Therefore, young teachers and old experienced teachers had to come together to meet this crisis. Now, then again, competence-based learning I'm talking about. The learners advance through a learning pathway based on their ability to demonstrate competency, including the application and creation of knowledge, as well as skills and dispositions. So these things sometimes are very important. And of course, personalized learning always capitalizes on the students. Almost it is an instinctual ability to use technology, especially the Gen Z, Gen Alpha students. But it is also much more than technology and algorithm, I must say. It is the purposeful design of blended instruction to combine face-to-face teaching, technology-assisted instruction, and student-to-student collaboration. This is meant to leverage each student's learning style and interest for deeper learning. It is not only for learning. As Dr. Madhu had said, some of these students who are very bright could be helped in research projects and research activities. Now, this is why this becomes very important. Therefore, the premise that every student is different, including the ways in which they learn, just like students should focus on fit when selecting colleges to which they apply. This is how we say. It is also important when analyzing the best way to help students achieve their academic goals in the university setup or in the higher educational institutional setup. So the premise for personalized learning, as I have said, is to create custom curriculum and learning objectives. It is not easy as of now. It is based on the learning needs of each individual student. But of course, how will you implement it? The first component of implementing personalized learning is getting to know the student and their educational background, their interests, academic goals, having an understanding of where a student is coming from, which demographic area is the student coming from, when they want to go to help create a custom experience, why has the student come here. Just so many, one size never fits all. So when it comes to test preparation, for instance, a core component needs to understand the background and current academic level of a student, and of course their diagnostic test scores. Mr. Harsha would be more attuned to what I would try to speak very say on a generic level, is that from the analysis we then say that tutoring becomes important. As I said, in the third aspect of personalized learning which I talked about, first was saving the real time, second was about saving the learner's analytics part, which I spoke a few minutes back, and the third is tutoring. So based on a student's diagnostic score, tutors will customize their strategy and approach to match the starting point of the student, the base point from which the student started. That must be matched. In the variety of students in one classroom, it has to be found out. So if you think of personalized learning as a practice rather than a product, to be honest, we do not. We have to understand, and we have to send this message everywhere. It is not only for engineers or coders. AI should be understood by every individual. And if we talk about education and AI, it has to be understood by every facilitator, every instructor, every teacher, and every student also in the higher educational institution setup. Now, adaptive learning technology has reshaped education, making it more streamlined. How the mapping of personalized learning system along with AI and data science can enable a transparent growth of individuals. Now, what we have found till date in the past, I'm just digressing from the topic a bit, students would be given a specific skill, and after passing out from schools, they would go to higher education institutions, climb the corporate ladder, become a vice president. I have myself been in the corporates. But then, now, the corporate ladder has been converted into a corporate maze. One skill cannot make the student climb up the corporate ladder. So what is needed? It is a variety of skills which has to be updated and upgraded. Sometimes the job itself has to be redefined by the student himself. Now, that would seem very atrocious when I am speaking. Of course, when people say, when Dell Technology says that 85% of the jobs for 2030 is not yet say imagined, who will imagine it? My feeling, gut feeling is that the students with the skills which we offer through technology, the changes that we bring into each student through AI and technology, through the teaching methodology, that is going to bring them proper grading of 21st century skills through which they can maneuver through the corporate maze, or even become good entrepreneurs. Or if not entrepreneurs, they can have entrepreneurial skills. Well, maybe I would quote John Abraham as saying, he had written a book way back in the 70s that not all students will become entrepreneurs, but every student will need to think like one. So even entrepreneurs within an organization become more important. And how would they become? In the present scenario, it cannot be done with the old age traditional teaching methodology. AI has to play a part in it. So personalization, tutoring, grading, AI would help in feedback on course quality, meaningful and immediate feedback to the students themselves. There are so many things which AI would help the education industry with. Now, there's one aspect I've just understood a few days back, which is computer supportive collaborative learning system. Mr. Harsha, this is abbreviation as CSCLS, Computer Supported Collaborative Learning System. Now, is a tool that employs social interaction for education. One of the earliest evidences of this is the design and implementation of Intelligent Collaborative Learning System, ICLS, which then formed the pathway for more recent interactions of artificial education and artificial intelligence and education. Now, educational data mining. For 21st century, as I said, the learning powered by technology, which has involved ways of using data from online systems to improve the instruction, the quality of the instruction, the pace of the instruction. Now, this process is known as educational data mining, we all know that. But at the most complex level, for instance, it can detect boredom of the student. It can also give an indication when a student is going astray during the course of, say, online training or teaching. And this particular can nudge the student to concentrate on the course. AI can do that. They can nudge or give an indication to the student that he or she should now concentrate on the online classroom and not get bored because of that. So this is everything which an individual teacher cannot do. So we have many room for improvement. Everything is there. When we talk about the National Education Policy 2020, which has of course come after 34 long years of wait, we feel that personalized learning in the form of regional languages to a certain level in the school teaching has also come there. So I think it has been a very good session from my side. I will try my best to come back on an issue of which is very close to my heart, as I was saying. Thank you so much. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, sir, for your inputs and adding to the learning experience of all. Your mention about the need of empowering our teachers and helping them incorporate a variety of teaching styles and targeting the individual and differentiated learning of students is what we all look forward to. So it was awesome to hear you highlight the corporate has changed into corporate maze. That was really wonderful to listen because it requires 21st century skills and the importance and role of AI in getting there. It was really enhancing and enriching, sir. Thank you so much for your time and the address. Thank you, sir.
Thank
you. So life is not just about life is not just qualified by fluent English, branded clothes, or rich lifestyle. It is even measured by a number of faces that smile when they hear your name. With these words, I welcome and invite the adorable lady with a sweet smile, the Vice Chancellor of Galgotias University, with a rich experience of 28 years, Dr. Priti Bajaj. Ma'am is doctorate in electrical engineering. Prior to this, she was director of G.S. Raisni College of Engineering, Nagpur. Ma'am has also been instrumental to design and develop in the development of ITS system in public and private sector, like toll collection, toll audit, highway traffic management system, and AITS by applying soft hybrid computing, intellect system, and applications of fuzzy logics in ITS. She's presently engaged into application of AI in healthcare, precision agriculture, and intelligent transportation. A professional society affiliation includes fellow Institute of Engineers, fellow IETE, senior member IEEE, LMISTE, and LMCSI. She's presently vice chair. Awards. She chairs the Vice Chair Awards and IEEE India Council, member MGA Awards and Recognition Committee, and founder chair of Nagpur subsection and also on BOG of IEEE HKN. She has chaired many sessions in international conferences in India and abroad. Ma'am, we are really privileged to have you with us today. I request you to kindly take forward this session. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Dr. for all good words. So the ASSOCHAM team, Bantha sir, and all my co-panelists, although much has been said for AI's use in education sector, but still I would like to highlight some points, and especially in context of NEP. There was one document which was floated by Niti Aayog, which was AI for everyone. So some points were given in that, and some experiments which I have done in education data mining. So I would like to highlight those as well, that how the AI could be a powerful tool, although we know, and some experiment, I have done in the past. So good morning, everyone. Again, good afternoon. So AI is rapidly transforming, as we know, in most of the segments. And I think, and we all know, and it is being predicted that it would have the incredible potential for, especially in education. So according to me, for disengage, what would be the challenges, or where the AI could be? So we all spoken, we talked about high dropout rates, especially in some countries, some states. Right now, what problem we are facing is traditional one size fits for all approach in most of the cases. Then disengaged students, diversity and inclusiveness is not being considered. The slow learner, fast learner, personalized skilling, passion, interest, cognitive capabilities, many more. And suppose if I take a case of Naresh. Yes. So if I take a case of, say, engineering, so there are 40 subjects. So, and then based on what's going on in the industry, everybody has started the skilling on maybe Industry 4.0 and all allied, cloud and Python. But then everybody is just learning. Nobody is ready to unlearn. Nobody is ready to relearn. So where is the gap? So how do I know where is the gap, where I need to go, whether I'm good at job, whether I'm good at entrepreneurship, whether I'm good at product design, or whether I'm good at consulting? So AI-based system, what we did is I have designed a small, I won't say a software, but then yes, a model has been designed by me and my students. That was based on, we trained the system wherein the college had, the earlier college had some dropout rate. So we trained with the data of the students who have dropped out for last 5 years. And then we have also trained the system with the student who used to get detained because of lack of attendance and then other issues. And the third was the students who used to be failure, and then they have taken up remedial classes. Combining all, a beautiful system was there wherein we could see, at the beginning of the admission, if we trained our system and apply the data set for the students who have applied to your college, you can find it out, the students who will be good to go, the students who are going to be drop out, in spite of they have been given remedial, in spite of they have been given skilling, in spite of whatever support you are going to give, but they are going to be drop out finally. And those results we have actually checked. But again, as I said, so AI has two sides. One, it's a wonderful tool, but at the same time, it should not be used unethically. So a lot of social concerns, ethics, and social responsibility is also going to be considered and to be considered by all of us while propagating while promoting AI in everywhere, in every domain. Second, there I have come across, I will not take the name of the series, but that was for the NEET exam, and I have found that when there is a test series for the 12th class or for the competitive exams or for the, we have getting admission into NET or through medical or engineering. So the test series was studying, all chapters. So chapter wise series was given. And then in those chapters, the student has attempted which chapter, typical case of data science, which chapter student has done, which portion he is lagging, which portion he has done well, he has attempted but he has not understood or he has not attempted at all. It means he has not studied. Wonderful analysis, and based on that some recommendation. This is all personalized learning experience which I have come across personally while dealing with. Now, so AI-based learning system would give you good information to the teachers about the students' learning style, abilities, progress, suggestions. I have come across one more portal which I would like to address over here is, so it was VAC portal, then other one was for ABET. So when I was going through a training, it was, until unless you have answered all and those answers are correct, and then those are relevant, then you will switch over to the second module. So and then if after completing the maybe 10 modules or 8 modules of training, they will again analyze all your modules wherein you have solved, and finally they would take the decision whether you will be recommended or not. Now some other points I would like to highlight on this is some students, although that has been taken up and by many speakers, but then there are students who are experiencing the learning difficulties, challenges for extra attention, tutorial, they need some tutoring. All that can be extracted based on AI-based system. Only thing is you need to have a data. How big is your data? How you are training your data? And then finally, the predictions would be there. And those are supposed to be the correct predictions. Chatbots are there, customized chatbots which can be designed. And the chatbots is giving wonderful results in all domains. Most of the modern universities, most of the universities at abroad, they are using chatbots for their students' issues, which is a typical AI-based problem. Certain areas, I would say, which can be taken up in India, considering the higher education, student success. So as my previous speakers have talked about outcome-based education. So student success, drive students' outcome, connect with their lifelong relationship. There can be AI can be used. Teaching and learning. So teachers' assessment also can be done, not only students' assessment. I would like to highlight the teachers' assessment. If the students are there in a class, if 2 teachers are conducting tutorial, it's a wonderful example wherein the teachers' assessment can be taken up between the multiple teachers. You have, thousands of students, and then the teachers are teaching. So who has more impact and whose students are doing well? Of course, there are many parameters, but yes, teaching, the teachers' teachings can be assessed, the gap can be find out, those can be extracted. Teachers assess, along with teachers assessment, what kind of training is required is also can be taken up. And then feedback, admission tool, education, data mining, everywhere this would put academic research, and then secured and connected campus. So secured and connected campus, there also AI has lot of to say. Although there are algorithms which is going to guide the decisions, and these algorithms can vary how we have designed, but still I would say the AI algorithms should be leveraged to support the creation of optimal learning environment, and then these systems will be the excellent tool if will be used. So the benefit of the personalized education program and having these, addressing to these 5 tools, which I said, 5 areas, I would say. Student success, teaching learning, teachers assessment, feedback, admission tool, academic research, secured and connected campus, all that would give you the best results, wherein the students would okay, one more example I have forgotten to mention is, I have come across one portal wherein the students would be taking the extra skilling subjects, my major, minor, everything, and then there would be a gap analysis and recommendation that, oh, you want to go for GATE, but we are not good at thermodynamics, you want to go for this thing, but then you are not good at this, so work on these skills. So the gap analysis would be based on gap analysis, recommendation that can be done in a best possible manner with the AI. So that's it. And then flip instructions are again could be based on, flip teaching can be based on AI. And I'm sure all that can be taken up, then gross enrollment ratio would increase, the dropout would reduce, the detention would reduce, and then ultimately the job satisfaction, student satisfaction, parent satisfaction, and then the good results at the university would be there. So that's it right now, and probably more when this will go up. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for enriching us and sharing your insight on customized learning based on strengths, needs, skills, and interests of individual students.
Naresh?
Ma'am, thank you so much. I now take the privilege of requesting the man of insight, the gold medalist in MBA, the CEO at IIIE Cell, Sanskriti University, Dr. Rana Singh, to kindly address the session. Sir is a seasoned techno-business professional having 2 decades of experience in the domain of academics, research, training, quality assurance, and consulting. Dr. Singh is the former director of Army Institute of Management and Technology, Greater Noida. Earlier, he has served as director of institutional effectiveness at University of Jazeera, UAE. Dr. Singh moved to UAE in 2012 on the invitation of Emirates Institute of Banking and Financial Studies, which is UAE's promoted by Central Bank. Thereafter, he worked with Gulf Medical University as Assistant Director of Institutional Research and Planning. His expertise includes setting up and promoting private university and technical institutions approved by regulatory bodies on turnkey basis. Sir was conferred with Bihar Gaurav Samman and B.R. Ambedkar National Award in 2018. Sir, it's a privilege to have you with us. Kindly address the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your wonderful words. May I please request you to make me the host so that I can share my presentation, please? A very warm good afternoon to one and all. Respected Kumar Shekhar Vijayendra sir, co-founder and Chancellor Shobhit University and co-chairman of ASSOCHAM National Council on Education. Respected Dr. Madhu Chitkara ma'am, Pro-Chancellor Chitkara University. Respected Dr. S.S. Mantha sir, Chancellor KL University. My esteemed colleague Dr. Abhay Kumarji, Vice Chancellor Pratap University. Madam Priti Bajaj, Vice Chancellor Galgotias University. And last but not the least, I would take this opportunity to extend my thanks to Mr. Neeraj Arora ji and Mr. Deepak Chhabra ji for giving me this opportunity. A very warm good afternoon to one and all. And it has been a great pleasure to listen to the words of wisdom by our eminent panelists and our keynote speaker for the day. The agenda for the presentation is the challenges of higher education and IT-related challenges, the goals for AI and how we can leverage it to transform the personalized learning, Microsoft and Times Higher Education Report, Microsoft and IDC report, the Education Transformation Framework by Microsoft, and how we can transform the 4 pillars of higher education with AI, what are the implications, AI implications, and the strategic roadmap. In fact, the major challenges which we all know and we have talked about at length is disengaged students, high dropout rates, ineffectiveness of one-size-fits-all, and they all ultimately they impact the productivity of the university by minimizing the outcomes and maximizing the cost. So ultimately, the major challenge is to focus on achieving excellence in teaching, learning, and assessment, to focus on personalized learning in the current scenario of the global pandemic of COVID-19, and to focus on breakthrough research, innovation, incubation, and to maximize the learning outcomes. And last but not the least, to focus on achieving the employability of the students at the global level by optimal levels and competencies. Now, we understand that there have been simultaneous IT-related challenges. We talk about information security, and it's imperative on the part of the universities to focus on high level of information security by optimally evolving the standard operating procedures, especially pertaining to the data policy, data security, and so on, and to focus on achieving student success. And I'll take a small example when student success and student success amidst the global competition. Well, we were using in UAE a software called ExamSoft, which allowed the students to take the exam. They were all medical students to take the exam and to give the global rankings, not just the institutional rankings and the global rankings of the students, so that they can see how well they are succeeding in understanding the concepts and achieving the learning outcomes of the courses as well as of the program vis-a-vis other students of other universities of the same country as well as of other universities of the world. So when we talk about student success, it has become globally challenging to measure the success of the student internally, externally. And let's understand, when the MBBS students, they go for USMLE exam, there they have to compete internationally. So when we talk about rating the student success, it's important to understand how well we are rating their success vis-a-vis the expectations of the recruiters, expectation of the people in the industry, and their relative success vis-a-vis the other students of other universities. The other challenge is to evolve, formulate, and implement the institution-wide IT strategy, which can enable the university to cater to the personalized learning by leveraging AI. Data-enabled institution culture, which can accumulation of data and dispensing them to the respective departments to achieve excellence, focusing on creating a student-centric organization which can provide world-class services at the lowest cost and to maximize the delight of the students in the process of academic delivery and in terms of the overall services being taken by the students. Making the higher education affordable, focusing on the IT staffing and organizational models, data management and governance, digital integration, how we are going to integrate the various available softwares of the university, ERP, and AI-related platforms optimally, so that we are going to optimally maximize the productivity of the university and to focus on the change leadership. The potential of transformation is immense, but the challenge ahead of us, how we are going to leverage and integrate the current opportunities, especially pertaining to artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, and adopting other sensor-based technologies pertaining to Industry 4.0, and how we can make the curriculum dynamic, simultaneously aligning it with the changing expectations of the corporate world and the industrial houses and the confederation of industries. So the transformation potential is immense. But what is important for us to understand, how we are going to maximize the potential by leveraging the current infrastructure, adopting the latest technologies, adopting the right AI platform, and evolving the right set of policies and procedures to transform the university and to leverage AI to maximize the positive impact of artificial intelligence. When we talk about the major goals, one of the first important aspects is to maximize the retention. And when you talk about maximizing the retention of the students, it's definitely going to maximize the revenue for the organization. And this aspect has become more and more challenging in the current Indian scenario because the new national education policy has allowed the students to make changes like mobile number portability. They can change their university. So increasing retention is going to be a major challenge, and artificial intelligence can be one of the strategic tools to help the universities in retaining the students and to focus on maximizing the outcomes, especially the program learning outcomes, the course learning outcomes, and simultaneously having the optimal level of segregation of what has been their respective outcomes in terms of the knowledge outcomes, the skill outcomes, and the competency outcomes. Last but not the least, it is important for us to focus on lowering down the cost so that we are making higher education affordable so that we can maximize and accomplish the envisioned goal of 100%. In higher education, we are accomplishing for 50% gross enrollment ratio, which is currently above 26%, which is a long way to go. And we can actually accomplish the goals for artificial intelligence to maximize the access of higher education to the various strata of the society, to further the goals and objectives of our Honorable Prime Minister, who wants to take primary, secondary, higher tertiary skill education to all the strata of the society and to make sure that we are going to achieve 50% gross enrollment ratio. Decreasing the time to completion. This is one of the important agenda, probably AI in the times to come. If a student is brilliant and he can accomplish all the learning outcomes of 3 years or of 4 years in 2 years, why he should not be allowed to spend his further time to focus on research and development? So AI in the times to come may become or may give a strategic tool to the universities to give the flexibility of time and not having a watertight compartmentation. You cannot finish a graduation degree before 3 years or 4 years. Well, if someone is brilliant and is laborious, can finish it in 2 years itself. And we should have this facility. So in the times to come, probably we might have flexibility towards this domain, and AI may enable students to have a differential time for accomplishing the programs. Now, if we look at the Microsoft and Times Higher Education report of March 2019, one of the major, though it was a sample survey, but it showed that only 41% of the institutions and universities had AI strategy in place. So the learning lesson for us, almost 60% of the institutions did not have AI strategy in place. So it's imperative and an opportunity for the universities to have well-defined, evidence-based AI strategy in place so that we are able to leverage the latest developments, softwares, platforms in the domain of artificial intelligence to maximize the accomplishments, especially in terms of the course learning and the program learning outcomes, as well as to focus on achieving excellence in teaching, learning, and assessment. Only 43% had budgetary allocations for such projects. So it's a big learning lesson for higher educational institutions and universities to focus on evolving evidence-based strategic plan for AI and to make an optimal level of allocation for AI. We at Sanskriti University, we tied up with one of the edtech companies, Upgrad, and we're offering programs in AI and machine learning to create the new generation talent, which can enable the corporates and higher educational institutions to leverage AI and machine learning in the best possible way. If we look at the Microsoft Asia and IDC Asia ASSOCHAM released findings of September 2019, it says the AI will help in doubling the rate of innovation and improvements in higher educational institutions and universities. So innovation is the buzzword, and research and innovation is going to transform the future and the fate of the universities in India and will enable them get the top rankings in the global universities, which is on the top agenda of our Honorable Prime Minister, as well as our Honorable Education Minister as well. So AI is likely to transform the higher education segment by giving it a catalytic boost and double the rate of innovation in the higher educational institutions. So the learning for us is to leverage AI in best possible way to maximize the student engagement, and this engagement can be possible by various models. We have simulation methods. We have gamification of various concepts. We have case-based study wherein a student becomes so engaged and they can do live interaction with their, let's talk for an example. The student can do live portfolio management with real-time data of Bombay Stock Exchange or Dow Jones or New York Stock Exchange for that matter, and can have a real-time learning experience. And it's also going to enable the researchers to conduct research and development with the dynamic data rather than the static data. And it's going to accelerate the pace of innovation, incubation, entrepreneurship, which is going to give a catalytic boost to the economy in the short run as well as in the long run. Microsoft Education, they have really brought a radical tool for education transformation framework in higher education, wherein it's very important for the university to focus on learning management, alumni engagement, student completion, student retention, and focusing on the 4 major pillars of having a secured and connected campus with focus on data privacy without infringing the data privacy of the students, how best we can maximize the learning experience, and how best we can give a catalytic boost to research, both interdisciplinary, as well as collaborative research within the country and outside the country. So this is very important for us to understand how we can leverage Microsoft Education Transformation Framework for higher education by leveraging AI and to make the university globally competitive as well as equally competitive in the country as well. Now, how can we transform the 4 pillars of higher education with AI? Well, the 3 major challenges: attracting the best quality students, offering them the best academic delivery, and making them globally employable. So these are the 3 major focus areas. Now, so to ensure that we maximize the student success, we have to attract the best students. And even if the students are not one of the best, we should have a very strong teaching learning environment wherein students with diverse learning background, diversity in their overall learning experience, as well as in terms of their learning orientation, approach, and differential abilities. I don't call them as handicapped. Students with differential abilities can achieve the desired learning outcomes. And to create a teaching and learning environment with personalized learning systems so that the students, they enjoy learning, they get engaged, and they maximize the learning outcomes of their respective programs. And the students are motivated towards conducting research at undergraduate, postgraduate, doctoral, and postdoctoral level so that they are socially relevant and are going to have strong social impact rather than just documenting the paper-based papers which do not have the respective social impact. Last but not the least, the focus is on creating very secure and connected campus. So these are 2 very important challenges: creating a connected campus, integrating different vendors, different platforms with a single sign-on, and yet to keep it secure. It's a big and Herculean task at the hand of the university administrators. Implications, especially for teaching, learning, and research and personalized learning, is very, very high. It's to create a conducive environment, to focus on giving an optimal blend of pedagogy, creating dynamic curriculum by leveraging AI so that we get real-time feedback from the corporate sector, leveraging the latest technology, focusing on people development, faculty development, creating a world-class infrastructure of technology and allied aspects, focusing on an online learning environment wherein students can have a multiple approach towards it. And let's talk about the 3-pronged AI applications wherein we are focusing on marketing and recruiting, admissions and enrollment, and curricula and resource planning, providing the student support to the students, and last but not the least, giving them a self-paced program so the student is able to gain it. These are some of the top AI platforms. We talk about Google, TensorFlow, Microsoft Azure. So the universities have a lot of options today. Now it's important for us to pick and choose. This is the last slide. We as university leaders, we have to focus on evolving a strategic roadmap with an evidence-based approach for the whole university, then for AI, and then we have to evolve the strategic IT plan, and then adopt the right technology, softwares, and ERP, and focus on having the proper integration mechanism so that we can leverage the AI developments. And last but not the least, we must have the change management process so that the implementation of IT and technology and softwares becomes smooth, and we have to focus on planning the business continuity management. And we have to overall focus on overall strategic plan to transform the university with key performance indicators of the various stakeholders so that everyone is accountable and we create a transformed campus so as to maximize the teaching learning experience and with a focus on personalized learning of the students. Thank you very much. It was indeed a great pleasure to be part of this event. Thank you and have a wonderful day, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the detailed sharing regarding the possibility of transformation of higher education through AI. It was really matching the topic, and a lot of information have been gained through this. Thank you. Thank you again. Innovation distinguishes a leader from a follower. So let me take this opportunity to welcome the next speaker of ours, another innovator that is a leader, Mr. Harsha Kankanala. Mr. Harsha comes from a family of teachers. Having said that, he has always been passionate towards education. So he has been researching ways to improve education and make it more engaging and purposeful. Harsha has a professional doctorate in engineering from TU Delft, Netherlands, and is currently focusing on student-centric innovative learning systems and product development. Let's know more about him and his venture through his own words. Mr. Harsha, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. It's been a privilege for the last 1.5 years hearing to all eminent speakers. I think everyone has touched upon most important points, really dealing with the theme of today, like significance of personalized education, higher education, or personalized learning in higher education for that matter. I mean, a lot is covered in last 1.5 hours. I would not repeat on the same points, but then the way it started for us, or the AI transformation as such, the theme that we are speaking today, the question always prompts us is if social media can really use AI tech and engage users, connect them, take them through, why not education has been a first thought that we started this AI research in 2017. For us, it is pretty important today in the academic year 2020 or going ahead, not going after tools which are merely encompass convenience, but then tools which are engaging students for better learning. So we have been working on this for almost like 3 years. And for us, there's always a vision that we carry was, can there be an education system wherein it is more like Google Maps? I mean, the moment a student is starting his journey in education, by the time he ends up in his preferred destination, the map should really track them through, and provided if they are taking any deviation, or if they're if their learning capabilities have changed, or if their engineering attributes have modified, or else if their topic interest and the field of interest have changed, how does this map or a technology align them to again align to the path and reach to their destinations in the most effective and an efficient way? So with this vision of having a Google Maps kind of structure in engineering or higher education is what we have started the entire AI research with. Now, I mean, as Sir has rightly mentioned, Mantha Sir, it is pretty important for AI or any technology assets to set the right context. I mean, AI can work anyways as you wish, but then setting up the right context and having the right objectives of why you are using technology and what for is pretty important. And that's why we have focused a lot of time. And we traveled across almost 133 universities or institutes in really getting their thoughts and feedback. And there's a lot of learning that happened for 2 years. And surprisingly, many a times the problems or the issues that institutions face, whether it's an affiliated campus or an autonomous campus or a private university, they're almost similar. So with this, we got back with all the inputs. It's a huge data to really think through. And then we really digged into what is the significance of AI in higher education in specific? Because today we already know like AI with quite many platforms like Byju's, say, and other platforms they're already using at school education. Why is it so important in higher education? The moment we get into this topic, one thing that we really have to understand is in school education, student is more in a formative learning. I mean, he or she has to be exposed to multiple things. They are still in their building up stage. Whereas it comes to higher education, they should really understand their own self much better. So higher education as such utilizing the right technology and having a personalized learning, the prominence of it or significance of it is pretty high compared to school education. Now, there are 6 major points that I would like to cover on today's theme of significance of personalized learning in higher education. The very first thing is student personas. Now, when we dig through the research, we have realized that student as such, the personas of students as such are pretty wide. I mean, when we look at any institute as such, everybody says like we have 101 category of students. How do you use technology? When we went them said we spoke about AI technology, it sounded like for everyone it is way ahead of times. But then they also understood that the student personas, it's really hard to handle. So what we have done is we have broadly classified the student personas into 5. The very first persona is students who are fast learners or students who are curious to learn. Now, this is the same set as Dr. Rana Singh was mentioning. If they can finish off their education in 3 years, 2.5 years, why do you want to stop them? So that is one set of students wherein they always look out, they're passionate learners. They, even if COVID or any other situation comes in, their learning will never be hampered. The second person of students are students who are job focused. Their purpose of learning might not be like, I wanted to understand really the concept. I really wanted to understand the subject behind it. Their persona can be like, given an opportunity where I can really train myself and I can crack a job, I would rather focus on that. So this is second persona wherein the technology should be different for them. As in the way technology acts should be completely different. It should tell them every concept that they are learning, what is the kind of career opportunities that are connected to this particular concept. They should know that connections wherein their focus on learning can actually be increased, even if they are in an institution. The third persona, where many institutes say this is a this is a bigger set of personas that they actually have, is students who are overconfident even without learning much. As in, even if they know 30% of the subject, they already feel that they're extremely good with that subject. So for this set of students, the way AI should act is again different. Here, it's more about tapping their back and say, hey, here, you know what, here is a misconception that you're having. Why don't you quickly revise this? So it should really speak to them. The technology today, when we're speaking of an AI tech should really speak to the student, understand the student, and act accordingly. And the fourth category is students who come with a great intent to an institution. I mean, the day I start going to an institution, my intent was always like, I have to really learn and I should really become a good engineer or a graduate. But then in the due course, they get distracted and confused. So the AI tech for this set of students should act different again. I mean, here we are speaking about always bringing them to the context of learning, why you're learning, what you're learning with more practical examples. So as such, if you look into these personas, every persona need is different. The moment we are addressing like 4 or 5 personas, really strong personas, we can really address almost like 95% of the all student sets. So that's the very first significance of why we should use personalized learning, considering the multiple personas of students. The second thing, or the second important point is the career alignment. Today, I think the way industry is changing with time, last 10 years, I mean, I graduated in 2010. From then to date, the way it has changed, it has been so rapid and the pace of it is also increasing. Now, at this point of time, 2 years before everybody was speaking about blockchain a lot, today everybody is speaking about data science a lot. And after 2 years or 5 years, there can be new technologies that we might not foresee at this moment. So alignment of career has to be extremely continuous. And students should understand what careers might be good for them. Now, setting up the entire section and if some workshop, what we have seen in the research is every time there's a pretty good workshop or a pretty good speaker who is coming to an institute and says like, let's take an example. There is one speaker coming to an institute and says data science is the next big thing. And everyone have to think of data science as a great opportunity. Then we see the entire intent of all students is shifted towards data science for next 2-3 weeks. Now that particular decision doesn't take into account how much of mathematics do you know, how much of differential equations do you know, how much of science of data that you understand. So these kind of things nobody checks, and everybody is after one course, and after 3 months they feel like it's not fit for them, and again there might be one more workshop or one more interest triggering factor. From there they'll actually again change their career alignment. Now the way AI in career alignment, the way we foresee or the way we are working currently is, it should really understand the concepts that you're teaching us. As I think Dr. Madhu Chitkara has mentioned, you teach almost like 40 odd subjects. which means almost like 4,000 odd concepts, 4,000 to 5,000 odd concepts that you teach in engineering. How many of those concepts am I good at? Am I good at, mathematical subjects, logical reasoning? Am I good at circuits? What exactly is it? Not at a subject level, but at a concept level. The moment technology understands how many concepts of this 5,000 this student is really good at, and the moment it understands the concept that he's good at, these concepts, how aligned are they to the skill sets? So the moment you understand how alignment to the skill set, automatically you will understand the roles that they might be good at. But then we also understand for the fact that today I might wanted to become data scientist. After 3 months, I might wanted to become something else. So the decision making of student itself is changing very rapidly. So technology should always adapt. AI should always adapt to their interests, their capabilities, and then come out with recommendations. And as Priti Bajaj ma'am has rightly said, the learning gaps should be always seen and it should be dynamic. AI Tech should never do a thing like wherein every 6 months the technology will conduct an exam and then it will assess you. The AI Tech today we are speaking should not work in that way. The way it has to do is it's a continuous thing. The graph should go changing. As Rana Singh sir mentioned, it should be like a Sensex wherein today in last 1 week, if you wanted to see your progress, it should tell you in aptitude you are going low, whereas in these concepts which are technical, you are actually going high. So we, as per career alignment is concerned, understanding the skill matrix, understanding the capabilities, interests, and the personas of the student, and really coming out with a leaderboard and telling them, hey, Harsha, you know what? You are extremely good at this, and this is a career that you might be really good, and can you kindly look into this learning path for you? So a recommendation system that can work in that detail is something which is needed. And considering the way NEP is heading and the prominence of all the new policies that are coming up, career alignment and AI really play a vital role in that as well. Now, the third important thing after personas, career alignment, the third important thing is behavioral attributes. A lot is spoken about by Google, Microsoft, NASCOM, and every other top-notch consulting services, that it's not just about skills. I mean, today, if I don't know Java, but then I have really good attributes of learning, I'm really good at critical thinking, logical reasoning, it would probably take me 2-3 weeks or 2-3 months for me to pick up Java. But then, do you really carry the right attributes is pretty important in higher education, because we start our higher education as students, but then by the end of it, we wanted to be professionals. For professionals, you need to have the right attributes. So AI tech, it is pretty important for AI technology to understand each and every attribute of the student and see it as a continuous graph. If the graph is dipping, instantly it should raise the red flag to the institute saying that these set of students, irrespective of the department and the year, these set of students have a problem with critical thinking, and then this has to be addressed. This set of students are technically pretty good. Their CGPAs are pretty high, but then their team working capabilities are pretty low. So when you really know the root cause of students as per individual attribute, the moment, even if you wanted to conduct a workshop, I think you will get all the students who are really bad at critical thinking and make them sit in a workshop. I think you are really speaking about better ROI or the better learning in the workshop, something that Vijayendra sir has actually made. Now, one more important thing as per behavioral attributes is decision making, one of the key attributes for NEP. With NEP in place, students should really understand their capabilities and they have to decide when to stop, when to restart, and what are the choices of courses that they have to take. The moment if decision making is not good enough, then the NEP, though at a policy level it is doing pretty good, when it comes to individual
So Harsha, we are unable to listen to you. You may please switch off your video. The quality of your audio will improve. Mr. Harsha?
Hello.
Yeah, audible now.
Is it clear now?
Yeah, better.
Yes,
Please.
yes.
Yes, thank you. So decision-making capabilities as an attribute has to improve, and AI should really work on it. How can you make students to improve their decision-making capabilities as well? And the fourth important significance for personalized learning in higher education is more to do with giving power to the teacher. So as one of the eminent speakers has rightly mentioned, it's not about replacing students, but it's providing the right tool or information or the analytics to the teachers that will make them teach better, that will make them engage with students in much more efficient way. And today, a teacher coming into a class, they should already understand that this class has this learning gap. Before I go to the next topic, why don't I quickly revise the learning gap and then switch to the next topic? So having that analytics at the right point with the teachers will really make a difference in their teaching methodologies as well, and somewhere where AI can really make a difference. And the fifth important point is more to do with the dynamic market and the assessment tools. Today, if you are speaking of assessment tools in academic year 2020, it's not about what is the outcome of an assessment, but how much of feedback are you getting from the assessment. One surprising fact that I would really like to quote is, we have seen students who are constantly scoring 60%, but then it's never the problem with their learning. It is the problem with their time management in assessment. Many a time students spend almost 80% of their time on 50% of the questions. Their end result is 50%, but the student is actually capable of scoring 90%, provided their time management in assessments is improved. So there are many intrinsic details in education, especially with learning, learning styles, learning pace, assessments, time management, decision making, a lot of attributes that we pick. The moment we are putting up AI in there and we're really making a difference, and if a faculty also gets to know that if I can help them improve on time management, even with the current learning that they have, their scores will be improved by 30%. So all this data that I'm speaking about is something that AI Tech or Advisely has been working on, and we are reaching out to all eminent institutions or visionary institutions to really plug in this tech and to make a major difference. Sorry. And finally, as a closing remark, it is the right time for institutions to look out for transformation. And the shift has come where institutions are thinking from a shift from a convenience tool to an engaging tool, something that can help students understand their own self. By the time an engineer graduate, graduation is done, there can be three cases. One thing is he's either getting a pretty good job and he's confident at it. Second thing is he has become a passionate engineer. Even if he's not getting a right job, he should really come out and say, I'm a computer science engineer with a specialization in full stack development, or I'm a mechanical engineer with extreme passion towards automobile engineering. So they should be extremely confident after their graduation. Or else the third KPI that we really look after is, you might not become a passionate engineer just because you have taken an engineering degree. But then if you end up as a person who knows their own self much better, wherein you don't come out of any higher education graduation saying that I'm not yet sure what to become or what to do, can I really, I really know, I know where I'm good at, and I know my journey for the future. And that confidence is something that we really have to instill. And that's where AI Tech is also helping out. I'm sure like this will have a great significance going further as well. So transformation should, this particular AI transformation that we are speaking about should really bring in a new age experience or a new age learning to the student, and wherein every student is feeling confident, irrespective of the institution, irrespective of the curriculum, irrespective of any other bonds that we have in the higher education. Students should really feel that enriching experience. And today, as I said, as what I started with, if social media, Google, Amazon, LinkedIn, Netflix can use AI and engage us, I think it is time for educational institutions to really have AI and engage students towards better learning. And I'm sure with that, we'll have greater results and greater outcomes. And I really thank every eminent speaker. I think a lot of information from you, as we hear to you, like a lot is noted down. And all your inputs and all your thought process, I'm sure it's pretty needed for all entrepreneurs or startups who are working on this tech. And thanks for providing me the opportunity, sir. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harsha. It was a really enriching one. And I must say that your hard work of more than 3 years in the field of transformation in the history of higher education through AI is really commendable. And hope we may receive really good solutions for each and every student of ours as universities and institutions. It is in fact going to be a kind of social work too, because it is going to give our students a totally different life, wherein they would be able to understand and live their lives in a very open format, because they'll be able to understand what is actually required for them. So I would say, हटा दो सब बाधाएं मेरे पथ की, मिटा दो आशंकाएं सब मन की, जमाने को बदलने की शक्ति को समझो, कदम से कदम मिलाते चलने दो मुझे. So let us be open to accept the technologies required as per the changing times. Moving towards the conclusion of this highly informative webinar, let me invite Mr. Neeraj Arora to propose the vote of thanks. Sir is associated with the Associated Chambers of Commerce and Industry of India, ASSOCHAM, New Delhi as Senior Director. Sir is the head of ASSOCHAM, National Council on Education, Council for Green and Eco-Friendly Movement, that is GEM, and Council for Environment and Climate Change. He's graduated in Mechanical Engineering and PG in Engineering Systems Engineering. Mr. Arora is a BEE certified energy auditor and certified green building professional. He was associated with more than 200 green building certification projects across India and abroad during his 18 years of educational and professional work experience. Sir, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Priti Chitkara. So, I mean, before extending my vote of thanks to our eminent speakers and our audience, first of all, I would like to congratulate you for the wonderful moderation of the session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You moderated the session very, very well. And our all eminent speakers, starting with Kumar Shekhar Vijendraji, Dr. Madhu Chitkara, Dr. S.S. Mantha, Dr. Abhay Kumar ji, Dr. Priti Bajaj, Dr. Nana Singh, and Mr. Harsha. So all eminent speakers spoke extremely well. So and very rightly said that technology. I mean, we cannot straightforwardly ignore the technology, information technology mainly, because now this AI and technology is part and parcel of our daily routine life. So I mean, in our daily life, we are observing so many applications in our mobile and in our laptop. Those are very, very helpful in our daily life. And so these are applicable to our education system also. And with these technologies, with this information, we can polish and sharpen our education system. Definitely, there is a strong need of our conventional education system, but there should be a good blend of conventional education system as well as this implementation of AI technologies. So thank you very much, all the eminent speakers, for sparing your valuable time for this webinar. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. And I'm hopeful that our audience, those who are attending us since last 2 hours, will be benefited with this information that our eminent speakers have shared with us. However, we have received many questions on the chat box, but due to due time limitation, we are not able to take those questions. But be rest assured, we are coming up with a very wonderful topic. Our next topic is scope of AI in teaching and learning methodologies. So we will conduct this webinar post Diwali, and we will announce the date of this webinar with you shortly. So thank you so much, dear ladies and gentlemen, our professionals, students, faculties from across the nations, those who are listening to us. Thank you so much for attending, and thank you so much, our eminent speakers, for sparing your valuable time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, Priti, for beautiful handling the session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Harsha.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak ji.
Yeah, namaskar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Deepak, please close the webinar.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Deepak, thank you for making us